Hi, and welcome back to the channel. I didn't have anything planned for this week's video, so I thought I'd invite you into my studio, where I'm starting an abstract landscape painting in acrylics. I'll talk you through the process as I go, and feel free to pop me on in the background as you paint along in your studios too. I'm painting on a 30 by 30 cm wooden panel from Jackson's, which I've primed with 2 coats of gesso on the front, back and sides. The acrylics I'm using today are De La Rowney System 3 soft body, and I have yellow ochre, cadmium yellow, cadmium red, ultramarine blue and burnt umber. Then there's cerulean blue and titanium white, which are both heavy body. I've picked out a few brushes and I'm starting in the sky area using a larger flathead brush. I'm just blocking in some shapes and getting some large brush strokes down. I'm using mainly ultramarine blue mixed with burnt umber for now, but varying the shade slightly as I go, with either more white or more burnt umber. Adding more burnt umber creates a lovely blue-grey shade and neutralises the colour, while more ultramarine gives a more saturated cool blue tone. I then start to introduce a little bit of cerulean blue to warm these shades slightly. I really enjoy working wet into wet at this stage, blending the colours as I go and varying the shades. I find this prevents the painting from becoming too flat. I'm using the same brush throughout to emphasise the directional brush strokes. Some areas have lots of smaller, lightly packed strokes, which contrast with the larger, longer strokes, especially along the horizon line. This will all be covered over in later layers, but I think it's important to establish movement early on, so then I have something to work with and respond to later. I'll leave the sky area to dry for now and we'll focus on the foreground. I'm starting with a muted green, which is a mix of cad yellow, ultramarine blue and burnt umber. Again, varying the shades with either more yellow or more white. Start to use a smaller brush on the horizon line to add tighter brush strokes and a little more detail to that area. Then I'll smooth out parts with the larger flat-headed brush. At this stage it's all about blocking in colours and shapes and getting a general idea of the composition with directional marks in the paint. Yellow ochre shade next to the purples of the horizon line, as these are opposite colours on the colour wheel, and it gives a great contrast and pulls the eye into the horizon line. Starting to emerge now, but I'm going to leave it to dry completely so I can come back with the next layer. Now that I've got the first shapes and colours down, I'll emphasise them by adding bolder brush strokes and brighter pops of colour in this new layer. The great thing about acrylics is you can build up layers and texture without disturbing the layers underneath. This new layer will bring fresh colours that transform some of the muddier or murkier areas, and I'm always slightly varying the shades again to avoid flat blocks of colour.
It was always on fire, our house, our we were dancing on a wire, reckless it seemed. We found holes in these walls, we like what we saw. Seemed so strong until it falls, the final straw. Showing open door. bound to make mistakes. Real love, we thought, but it was always on fire. Our house, our dream. We were dancing on a wire, reckless it seemed. I never felt like this before. When I was trapped, you showed it open door. I had no reason to complain.
I'm really enjoying the contrast between the upper sky area, which has many different brushstroke directions, compared to the horizontal feel of the horizon. I also like to break up the horizon line by dragging down the sky into the land in the foreground.
I never felt like this before. When I was trapped, you showed an open door. I had no reason to complain. I didn't have the words to explain. Then we were dancing on wire. Yeah, we were dancing on wire.
So now I'm going to leave the sky again to dry and focus on the foreground, bringing in some bolder colours to emphasise the existing shapes.
A significant light, just where it was needed, gleamed in black as night, cloistered in injustice, dead in the eye of time. Nobody is losing.
Brightening up the yellow areas really makes a huge difference. I also want to introduce small pops of the blues used in the sky into this foreground. And I'll play around with the foreground for a while, adding pops of colour and varying the marks until I'm fairly happy with this layer.
They'll be gone. The trees will bloom and ice will melt. We'll always remember how it felt.
fairly happy with this layer now, and in the next layer I might introduce another medium, like soft pastel or oil pastel. I'm not too sure yet. I like to sit with my paintings at this stage to try and figure out what I'd like to do next. And I can already see areas that I want to adjust, but maybe there's a bigger, bolder change coming to me soon. Anyway, that's for another time. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you made it this far, thank you so much. I really appreciate all your views, likes, comments and subscriptions. See you again next week.